I'm liking him better all the time.
Welcome to our channel. In today's video, we will look back at Hollywood stars who have passed away due to heavy smoking habits. Once considered a trendy image on screen, cigarettes have silently destroyed the health of many movie legends. Behind the fame and limelight are sad stories of cancer, lung disease, and other dangerous complications. Let's follow along to better understand the consequences that this habit has brought to many famous stars. Surely every one of us has known a heavy smoker, right? If you have known someone like that, please comment number 1, and if not, leave number 0. Don't forget to enjoy the whole video and leave a sub to support the channel to create more interesting content. Audrey Hepburn, the immortal icon of Hollywood, is not only known for her graceful beauty and sophisticated fashion sense, but also for her image associated with cigarettes. In Breakfast at Tiffany's, the black dress and long cigarette became a cinematic symbol, but few people know that she smoked up to 3 packs of cigarettes a day. Audrey started smoking at the age of 15 when war and psychological trauma surrounded her childhood. Later, amidst the Hollywood halo, cigarettes became a means to help her cope with pressure. Each cigarette was a calm in the storm of fame and expectation. On film, it was style. In real life, it was endurance. Stress was Audrey Hepburn's silent companion. Despite her elegant and calm exterior, she was actually a nervous and sensitive person. During the filming of films like Roman Holiday and Charade, Audrey would often smoke to keep calm. A cigarette never seemed to leave her hand, whether she was resting, reading a script, or applying makeup. Fans loved her unruffled grace, but few saw the insecurities hidden in the haze of smoke. Cigarettes were more than a habit. For her, they were a mask. At age 62, Audrey began to experience severe abdominal pains, a sign of a grim reality. Doctors diagnosed her with a rare form of abdominal cancer related to colon cancer, although no one is completely sure smoking is a proven risk factor. After years of living in smoke, Audrey's film legacy faced a sad end. She died in 1993, leaving millions of fans mourning her. Her life was a symphony of beauty, talent, and tragedy, quietly burning with each puff of smoke. Marty Feldman is known not only for his bulging eyes, but also for his brilliant comedy career and unbridled smoking habit. With his legendary role in Young Frankenstein and his unique comedy style, he made audiences laugh even while smoking 5 packs of cigarettes a day. Marty started out as a writer for the BBC behind popular comedy shows, such as Round the Horn and Bootsy and Snudge. But whether on set, backstage, or even in the shower, a cigarette never seemed to leave his hand. Smoking for Marty was part of his identity, both a habit and a crutch between stress and creativity. Unfortunately, this habit was a silent enemy. In 1982, while filming the comedy Yellowbeard in Mexico City, Marty Feldman's heart couldn't take it anymore. He died of a massive heart attack at the age of 48, still at the height of his career. Although the film was later dedicated to him, Marty's death also served as a reminder of the cost of an unhealthy lifestyle. An artist who can make the world laugh can sometimes not save himself from habits that slowly kill him. The image of Marty with a cigarette in his hand is now both funny and poignant, and perhaps in part the film is also an unofficial tribute to Marlboro Man. Think Walt Disney was all pixie dust and talking mice. Think again. Behind the fairy tales and magical castles was a man who lived in a cloud of cigarette smoke. Walt Disney, creator of Mickey Mouse and icon of the happiest place on earth, had a hard-to-quit habit: chain smoking. He smoked so much that he was rarely seen without a cigarette in his hand, unless the camera was on him. His image as a family-friendly man couldn't handle the cloud of smoke, so Disney tried to hide his habit from the public. To protect the brand's legacy, Disney executives later digitally removed the cigarette from Walt's image and banned smoking in his films altogether. Even Tom Hanks, when he played Walt in Saving Mr. Banks, was not allowed to hold a cigarette, despite the fact that Walt smoked in his office. But no miracle could save him from the consequences. In the early 1960s, his health rapidly declined, and in 1966, he was diagnosed with lung cancer. Despite surgery and treatment, he died that same year at the age of 65, a death attributed to circulatory failure due to cancer ending the journey of a man who had created so many miracles. David Janssen, who played Dr. Richard Kimball in The Fugitive, was always running from danger on screen, but in real life he couldn't escape his heavy smoking habit. He smoked up to 4 packs of cigarettes a day and was rarely seen without a cigarette in his hand, whether at work or at rest. Janssen's signature raspy voice, which was supposed to be his charm, was actually the result of years of nicotine addiction. Gradually, the habit began to affect his health, reducing his stamina and ability to breathe. But Janssen continued to perform his roles until his body couldn't take it anymore. In 1980, at the age of 48, David Janssen suddenly died of a heart attack at his Malibu home, shocking Hollywood. An autopsy revealed that his lungs and arteries had been severely damaged by cigarette smoking. Janssen's death was a stark reminder of the serious consequences of smoking. Even at the height of his career, he could not escape the cruel fate of this habit. His legacy lives on, but the price he paid was also very high. Patrick Swayze was not only the romantic guy who lifted Baby in Dirty Dancing, but also an alarmingly heavy smoker. With a tough exterior and charming smile, he puffed up to 60 cigarettes a day, as if it were his own special dance. On screen, Patrick brought passionate and intense roles from Ghost to Point Break. But behind the halo was a relentless battle with alcohol and tobacco addiction. Cigarettes were not just a habit, but seemed to be an indispensable part of his life for many years. When he was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer in 2008, Patrick did not immediately give up smoking. In an interview with Barbara Walters, he admitted, "I would say smoking probably had something to do with it." He credits his late father and a team of vigilantes for protecting him, but it became clear that even they could not prevent the damage that smoking had done over the decades. Despite knowing the dangers, Patrick continued to work hard, dance on the stage of life, and maintain his smoking habit. Patrick Swayze passed away in 2009 at the age of 57, leaving deep sorrow in the hearts of fans around the world. This Hollywood legend has passed away, but his image lives on in the works and memories of cinema lovers. Somewhere a cigarette may have been quietly extinguished in memory as a reminder of the high price of a seemingly harmless habit. His life is a testament to the complexity between talent, strength, and self-destructive habits. In your opinion, is smoking worth trading your health and life? If you think it's not worth it, comment number 2, and if you think it depends on the situation, comment number 5. Your opinion is very important, so don't hesitate to share. And remember to subscribe so you don't miss the next videos from the channel. Julie London has a captivating and soulful voice famous for her song, Cry Me a River. But behind that charm is a heavy smoking habit. She smoked up to 3 packs of Marlboros a day starting at the age of 16. Nicotine gradually became her indispensable companion, following her from the studio to the set and even during breaks. Cigarette smoke gave her a distinctively sophisticated look, but also gradually took away the power of her voice that had captivated so many fans. Julie traded her own signature to maintain her seductive image without realizing that it would seriously affect her health. Her singing career waned, her acting roles dwindled, and gradually Julie London became a cautionary tale about the dangers of smoking. In the mid-1990s, she suffered a major stroke and was diagnosed with lung cancer just a few years later. In 2000, Julie died at the age of 74, leaving behind a remarkable musical legacy, but also a testament to the high cost of addiction. Her signature smoke was extinguished by the very thing that created it. Jack Webb is best known for his role as Sergeant Joe Friday in Dragnet, with his stern face and cold voice, always solving crimes with precision and no mercy. However, in real life, he was secretly sabotaging his own health with a serious smoking habit. Despite suffering from asthma since childhood, Jack smoked 3 to 4 packs of cigarettes a day as a strange exercise. Doctors warned him to quit, even finding that he had ulcers that could develop into cancer, but Jack ignored them. He even starred in a 1954 Chesterfield cigarette commercial, proving that this habit was almost an indispensable part of his life. In Dragnet, Jack's smoking was more than a habit. It was almost a sideshow. Viewers might think he was just solving crimes, but the real mystery was how his lungs were still functioning. Eventually, the damage from smoking was inevitable. In 1982, Jack died at the age of 62 of a heart attack, with the diagnosis being atherosclerosis, a well-known consequence of heavy smoking. His death was a reminder of the unpredictable effects of nicotine, whether he was a movie hero or not. Tallulah Bankhead is not only a Hollywood star, but also a storm of scandal, daring, and 150 cigarettes a day. Yes, you read that right. This is a real health red flag waiting to explode. With her signature raspy voice and unmatched style, Tallulah has lit up Broadway Hollywood and everywhere else she has appeared. Born into a powerful political family, she gave up her political career for a life of partying gin and a cigarette hanging from her lips. Her smoky growl was not only her signature, but also the result of years of heavy smoking with a dash of bourbon to spice things up. Tallulah's wild lifestyle left doctors stumped. After a near-fatal hysterectomy in 1933, she told her doctor, "Don't think this has taught me anything," and then she continued to puff on cigarettes like it was her crowning glory, the queen of chaos. But her lungs couldn't keep up. Tallulah suffered from chronic bronchitis emphysema and eventually died of double pneumonia at the age of 66. Her final years were as dramatic as her legendary screen roles, save for the director's shout of, "Cut her life," is a testament to the price of freedom and impulsiveness in her lifestyle, and a warning that the dangers of smoking should not be taken lightly. George Formby was not your typical Hollywood heartthrob. He was a brash English entertainer, always with a ukulele in one hand and a woodbine in the other. With his laugh-out-loud songs and charming smile, Formby became Britain's top box office star in the 1930s and 40s. But while he strummed and entertained audiences, his lungs were failing. Behind the scenes, George smoked up to 40 unfiltered cigarettes a day, a habit he humorously called the nail in the coffin. Even after a heart attack in 1949, Formby ignored all medical advice. Doctors' orders, ignore them. Rest, never heard of it. Cigarettes. Just give them to me. While audiences admired his grace and vitality, his heart and lungs were under a terrible strain. In 1961, just months after attending his wife's funeral, George suffered a heart attack so severe that he was given his final baptism in hospital. He recovered within 5 days, but his good fortune and health would not last forever. On March 6th of that year, George Formby died at the age of 56. His legacy is still remembered through laughter music and thick clouds of cigarette smoke, a joyous but tragic symbol of heavy smoking. Desi Arnaz was not only Lucy's charming husband on I Love Lucy, but he was also a pioneer of modern television, always chewing cigars and revolutionizing the sitcom. While he was busy working and running Desilu Productions, he couldn't stay away from his true passion, Cuban cigars, sometimes, as if they were his only source of income. Cigars appeared on screen backstage in business meetings. Desi always had at least one in his hand, to the point that doctors couldn't wean him off the habit. Although Desi Jr. tried to organize an intervention to help him quit smoking and drinking, Desi Sr. was not enthusiastic about the idea. When he finally kicked the habit, it was too late to avoid the consequences. In 1986, he was diagnosed with lung cancer, caused not by filtered cigarettes, but by the premium Cuban cigars he loved. His doctor bluntly told the LA Times that the cigars were the culprit. Desi Arnaz died at the age of 69, leaving behind a legacy of great comedy and a trail of smoke that will be difficult to completely clear. Vivien Leigh was more than just the immortal Scarlett O'Hara of the silver screen. She was fire, fury, and a thick cloud of smoke. Behind her timeless beauty and Oscar-winning talent, Vivien had a locomotive-like smoking habit. On a typical day of filming, she could smoke up to 4 packs of cigarettes, a veritable walking chimney in high heels. While audiences were captivated by her elegance in Gone with the Wind and A Streetcar Named Desire, Vivien was secretly smoking, like she was burning the script of her life. The pressure of fame, her turbulent marriage to Laurence Olivier, and her constant fame weighed on her, causing her to fall deeper and deeper into addiction. Smoking became more than a habit. It became her coping mechanism, her companion, and even her co-star. The consequences, however, were swift and devastating. In 1944, Vivien collapsed during a rehearsal and was diagnosed with tuberculosis, a particularly dangerous disease when combined with heavy smoking. Along with bipolar disorder and insomnia, she was battling more than just stage roles. Despite her failing health, she continued to light up, determined to fight the challenges with lipstick and a lighter. In 1967, at the age of 53, Vivien Leigh died suddenly of complications from tuberculosis exacerbated by her relentless smoking habit. Michael Landon, America's angelic cowboy and good guy, had a decidedly unangelic habit, smoking up to 4 packs of unfiltered cigarettes a day. While he inspired millions with his role as Little Joe in Bonanza and his moral lessons on Highway to Heaven, his lungs were slowly burning. His messy hair and bright smile hid a man who was fueled almost exclusively by nicotine and wild turkey bourbon. His crew nicknamed him Socks, not for fashion, but because of the lingering smell of burnt tobacco in his socks. Despite the constant coughing and wheezing, Landon continued to film like a machine running on cigarette smoke. But eventually, he could not avoid the serious consequences. In 1991, he was diagnosed with terminal pancreatic cancer, which had spread to his liver and lymph nodes. In his usual humorous style, he said, "I hope I don't lose my hair." People have seen that for 35 years. However, laughter could not hide the grim truth, and just a few months later, Michael Landon passed away at the age of 54, leaving his fans deeply saddened. Suzanne Pleshette had a voice that was like bourbon, warm, smooth, and unmistakably seductive. It was a voice that helped her shine on shows like The Bob Newhart Show and movies like Rome Adventure. But few people knew that her charm wasn't all natural. It was also fueled by 2 packs of cigarettes a day. For decades, nicotine was her constant companion on set, off set, and in interviews. Hollywood heard that raspy voice and thought, "That's money." But things weren't as smooth as they seemed. Suzanne's lungs were silently suffering serious damage as she continued to smoke as part of her contract. Eventually, she realized the show couldn't last forever. In 1997, after years of non-stop smoking, Suzanne decided to quit, but the damage was too deep. In 2006, she was diagnosed with lung cancer, and despite undergoing surgery to remove part of her lung, the battle was not over. Suzanne maintained her grace humor and iconic voice until the end. In 2008, at the age of 70, she passed away, leaving behind a smoky legacy elegance talent and a poignant reminder that even the most captivating voices can be extinguished by cigarettes. She quit late, but the fire in her heart never went out. Barbara Stanwyck is not only a screen legend, but also a symbol of toughness, class, and uncompromising fierceness. But behind the glitz and grit of her roles in Double Indemnity and The Big Valley lies a shocking truth: she started smoking at the age of 9. While other children played Barbara, lit up like a true film noir heroine, using cigarettes as part of her armor to protect her from life's hardships. Through personal tragedy and the pressures of the film industry, each cigarette made her voice hoarse, her eyes sharper, and her on-screen charisma stronger. But even legends are not immune to the consequences of this habit. In 1982, while filming The Thornbirds, Barbara inhaled so much special effects smoke that she developed a severe bout of bronchitis. Coupled with decades of heavy smoking, her lungs were failing. Breathing became difficult, her roles dwindled, and Barbara finally admitted that it was time to give up smoking. She died in 1990 at the age of 82 of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and heart failure, leaving behind an immortal cinematic legacy, but also a stark reminder of the dangers of smoking. Keith Richards is not only a rock legend, but also a living miracle with his guitar playing prowess, rugged style, and heavy smoking habit. As the iconic guitarist of the Rolling Stones, Keith always appeared on stage with a guitar in one hand, a cigarette in the other, and a defiant smirk that said, "Rules are for mortals." Smoke has been his constant companion throughout his explosive career. Keith started smoking at a young age, and by the time he reached the pinnacle of his musical career, nicotine had become an integral part of his diet. In addition to cigarettes, he was a connoisseur of heroin, cocaine, hashish, and enough whiskey to sink a cruise ship. Everyone thought Keith wouldn't make it to 1980, but he persevered like a half-burned cigarette, continuing to push his rebellion to the brink. Despite being arrested for drugs more times than people have been to the dentist, Keith survived, but it was cigarettes that finally made him quit. In 2018, the rock god revealed to Rolling Stone that he had successfully quit smoking with the help of nicotine patches, a triumph of science and human will over the most stubborn of habits. At 80 and still breathing, Keith Richards is living proof that this guy should have been dead a long time ago. Charles Lane is the quintessential grumpy old man on screen and apparently in real life, too. With over 350 films and television appearances, he has created classic roles as grumpy salesman, stern judge, and cold boss. But the biggest difference is not in the script, but in his lungs. Charles has smoked a pack of cigarettes a day for 70 years. Not just a habit, but a grueling endurance marathon. Born in 1905, he outlived most people and defied medical predictions. He even joked, "I'm definitely an exception to the smoking killing myth." And for a man still cracking jokes at 100, it's hard to argue. But eventually, the damage from smoking was inevitable. In the 1990s, he was hospitalized for severe respiratory problems. When asked if he had quit, he coolly replied, "I quit 45 minutes ago." It was a legendary moment. although he eventually gave up the habit, perhaps because he could no longer walk 5 steps without wheezing. The damage had been done. Charles Lane lived to be 102, becoming both a living miracle and a powerful reminder to all anti-smoking campaigns that even if you outlive cigarettes, the consequences are still inevitable. Kathleen Turner didn't just make it in Hollywood, she roared her way into the spotlight. Her distinctive raspy voice was a director's dream and a gift from cigarettes. From body heat to romancing, the Stone Turner burned up the screen, while in real life she was a heavy smoker, always keeping a lighter nearby. Her smoky voice became her trademark, landing her sexy, attention-grabbing roles. But behind the smoothness was a woman whose lungs were overworked in smoke-filled rooms. Smoking was her constant companion, along with a glass of wine that never seemed to leave her hand. But fate took an unexpected turn. Rheumatoid arthritis struck midway through the filming of Serial Mom. Her joints began to betray her, leaving her unable to wear high heels, hold a glass, or even walk without pain. Kathleen's solution was more alcohol and cigarettes, since quitting seemed out of the question. Her health deteriorated, her acting roles dwindled, but Kathleen, in her diva-like style, didn't disappear. She turned to voice acting and teaching, where her distinctive, raspy voice was still appreciated, and climbing stairs was no longer a requirement. Raul Julia was more than just an actor. He was stage royalty with an intensity and charm that was hard to resist. From his stellar Broadway performances to his unforgettable turn as Gomez Addams in The Addams Family, Raul carried a daily dose of Cuban cigars as an integral part of his persona. While many people sipped coffee on set, he puffed on Cuban Punch double Coronas, making cigars his constant companion, along with his devilish gaze and rebellious elegance. Raul's smoking habit followed him from college to the height of his career and eventually followed him into the hospital. In 1994, he was diagnosed with stomach cancer, a disease closely related to smoking. But Raul never slowed down. He continued to act, film, and even review scripts from his hospital bed. Then came a series of events: food poisoning, persistent stomach pains, and finally a massive stroke that left him in a coma. Just days later, the drama of Raul's life came to a close when he passed away at the age of 54. Red Fox was the king of comedy, with a sly, cheeky edge and a line so sharp it warranted a warning label. Best known for his role as Fred Sanford on Sanford and Son, he made America laugh with his fake heart attacks and signature groans. But behind the laughs was a real addiction: 4 to 5 packs of cigarettes a day, not to mention the quick puffs he'd smoked during stressful battles with the IRS. Born into poverty and raised on a shoestring, Foxx smoked as a way to cope with a stressful life. He even appeared in Camel cigarette commercials in the 1960s, because when you buy cigarettes by the case, advertising is a given. But comedy couldn't pay off the debts when the IRS came knocking. After multiple divorces and debts of $2.5 million, the IRS seized everything: his home, his cars, his personal arsenal. Throughout his struggles, he never kicked the habit. In 1991, while filming The Royal Family, Foxx collapsed on set from a real heart attack. The crew thought he was acting, but he wasn't. He was rushed to the hospital and died at the age of 68. Al Lewis isn't your average TV grandpa, unless your grandpa wears a cape, lives in a Gothic mansion, and chews cigars like mints. As the iconic grandfather on The Munsters, Lewis brought spooky charm, old-fashioned wit, and a thick cloud of cheap cigar smoke to every scene he stole the spotlight. In real life, he's no different: a cigar in one hand, a protest sign in the other. Al is a political firecracker, not afraid to criticize government agencies with the same intensity he lights his cigar. While many other stars opted for gyms or juice cleanses, Al stuck to his routine, moving, telling stories, and puffing like he was about to send a smoke signal. Doctors might have worried, fans might have frowned, but he just smiled and lit another cigarette. Surprisingly, unlike many of his fellow smokers, Al Lewis avoided the typical ailments associated with smoking like cancer or lung failure. When he died in 2006 at the age of 82, he did so in his own unique, eccentric, and unapologetic way. His ashes were not placed in an urn or scattered at sea, but kept in his favorite cigar box, very Al Lewis. Johnny Cash didn't just walk the line, he smoked it. The man in black, with his deep, thunderous voice and rebellious spirit, lit up more than just concert halls. Having started smoking at the age of 13, Johnny and his cigarettes were an inseparable pair, appearing from backstage rooms to prison tours. Between hits like Ring of Fire and Folsom Prison Blues, he puffed on cigarettes during interviews, wrote songs, and even bribed the police, a story that's hard to believe but true. By the 1980s, the toll of his nicotine, amphetamine, and heartbreak-fueled lifestyle began to show. Cash suffered from bronchitis, pneumonia, heart problems, and Shy-Drager syndrome, a condition related to diabetes. Surgery on his knees, jaw, and heart failed to reverse decades of damage. Though he eventually quit smoking, it was too late. In 2003, just 4 months after his wife June Carter passed away, Johnny Cash followed her lead, passing away at the age of 71, leaving behind a legacy of great music and a story of a resilient but wounded legend. Peter O'Toole, a British film icon known for his role in Lawrence of Arabia, is known not only for his talent, but also for his heavy smoking habit. For decades, O'Toole made smoking an integral part of his life and career, despite knowing the health risks it posed. On set and off, he often had a cigarette in his hand, a signature of the classic style of Hollywood's golden age stars. He once admitted that smoking helped him relieve stress and inspire his creativity, even though it meant he was destroying his health every day. The consequences of smoking were severe. Peter O'Toole was diagnosed with stomach cancer, a disease that is believed to be closely related to his long-term smoking. Despite undergoing multiple treatments and surgeries, his health continued to decline over time. Smoking not only aggravated his condition but also made his life difficult. Peter O'Toole passed away in 2013, leaving behind a legacy of illustrious films, but also a vivid example of the serious effects of smoking on celebrities, especially in the entertainment industry, where the habit was once widespread and considered part of the lifestyle. Humphrey Bogart, an American film legend and style icon of the golden age of Hollywood, was known not only for his tough guy roles, but also for his image of always having a cigar or cigarette in his hand. Bogart started smoking at a young age, and it quickly became an integral part of his personal style as well as his career. The smoke wrapped around him like a layer of armor, creating an unmistakable mystery and charm on the big screen. However, this habit also silently destroyed his health over the years. Late in life, Humphrey Bogart faced the serious consequences of smoking. He suffered from esophageal cancer and underwent many painful treatments, but the disease continued to progress. In 1957, Bogart died at the age of 57, leaving behind a great cinematic legacy, but also a clear demonstration of the devastation that smoking can cause even for the brightest stars of Hollywood. The image of him, cigarette in hand, still lives on in the hearts of his fans, both a charm and a warning about the dangers of smoking. James Dean, The immortal symbol of rebellion and style in the 1950s not only left his mark with emotional roles, but also with the image of a young man who always had a cigarette in his hand. Smoking was an indispensable part of Dean's life and style, helping him express his rugged, free-spirited, and attractive features to the point of becoming an icon of an entire generation. Cigarettes followed him on set and in everyday life, contributing to his charming, cool style. However, his heavy smoking habit contributed to James Dean's deteriorating health. Despite only living a short life of 24, Dean suffered from numerous health problems related to smoking. His sudden death in a car accident in 1955 ended his meteoric rise, but also left behind a legendary image of a young star who lived life to the fullest, with a cigarette always burning between his lips as an inseparable part of his life. Richard Burton, one of Hollywood's most talented and charming actors, was known not only for his outstanding acting skills, but also for his heavy smoking habit. He was often seen with a cigarette in his hand as part of the rugged image that had made Burton's brand. His cigarette smoke and characteristic deep voice became an unforgettable symbol in the film industry, but this habit also silently harmed his health over the years. Despite his illustrious career and iconic roles, Richard Burton struggled with health issues stemming from his years of smoking. Doctors warned him of the risk of lung cancer, but Burton struggled to kick the habit. He eventually died in 1984 at the age of 58 from complications related to lung disease, leaving behind a legacy of artistic achievement and a painful reminder of the cost of smoking addiction. Greta Garbo, a film icon of the golden age of Hollywood, was not only famous for her mysterious beauty and captivating acting style, but also for her heavy smoking habit. Cigars and cigarettes seemed to be her indispensable companions throughout her career. With a cold and charming demeanor, Garbo often appeared with a puff of smoke, adding to her mysterious and attractive appearance to the audience, but this habit also silently harmed her health. Despite her private life and her low profile, those close to her knew that Greta Garbo had been a heavy smoker for years and had struggled to quit. Smoking became part of her ritual, a habit that helped her relieve stress in a high-pressure industry. However, the consequences of heavy smoking became clear as Garbo struggled with lung problems and her health declined over time. Greta Garbo eventually passed away in 1990 at the age of 84, leaving behind an immortal artistic legacy and a cautionary tale about the dangers of smoking. She proved that even the most glamorous stars are not immune to the health risks of smoking, highlighting the importance of consciously protecting yourself from dangerous habits. Marlon Brando, an American screen legend and one of the most influential actors of the 20th century, was known not only for his brilliant acting skills, but also for his heavy smoking habit. On set and in everyday life, Brando often puffed on cigarettes as an integral part of his image, strong, individualistic, and a bit rebellious. But this habit gradually became a silent enemy that threatened his health. For years, Marlon Brando continued to smoke despite repeated warnings about the health risks it posed. Lung and respiratory problems began to affect him, especially as he got older and his immune system weakened. Chronic coughs and shortness of breath became more common, but Brando found it difficult to give up the habit as part of his unshakable identity. Smoking was not only a part of his life, but also associated with the bad boy style he built on screen. Ultimately, Marlon Brando died in 2004 at the age of 80, after years of battling lung and heart problems, largely caused by his long-term smoking habit. While remembered as an artistic icon, Brando's story also serves as a stark reminder of the dangerous consequences of smoking, highlighting that even the most powerful and famous people are not immune to the harmful effects of this habit. Frank Sinatra was more than just the voice. He was an icon of an era, a man who could charm the world with a low note. But behind the tuxedo and whiskey was a lung full of smoke. Sinatra started smoking at a young age and continued for the rest of his life, averaging 2 to 3 packs a day. On stage, backstage, in recording studios, in hotels, and even in bed, a cigarette was never far from his hand. It wasn't just a habit, it was a style. It was part of his brand, smoke-dim lights and a velvety nicotine-soaked voice. Over the decades, Sinatra's voice began to change from powerful to hoarse, a clear sign of lung damage. But he never quit. Doctors warned him, relatives advised him, but Frank was still himself. "I live my life the way I do." Eventually, the cigarettes took their toll. He suffered multiple heart attacks and respiratory problems before passing away in 1998 at the age of 82. The official cause was a heart attack, but everyone knew that after each final note, a thick cloud of smoke silently squeezed the heart of Old Blue Eyes. Roy Orbison, the angelic voice with the mysterious dark glasses, was not only famous for his haunting ballads like Crying and Only the Lonely, but also for a little-known habit, smoking non-stop. With his unique tenor voice, Orbison could break hearts with just one line. But behind the gentleness of his music was a man who puffed on cigarettes as if each breath was accompanied by a puff of smoke. He started smoking in his teens, and according to those close to him, never really stopped, even though his health began to protest. In the 1980s, as his career seemed to be resurgent with the traveling Wilburys, Roy's body began to fail him. Despite repeated warnings about his heart and respiratory system, he continued his old habit. Cigarettes were his constant companion in composing, recording, and touring. In 1988, just weeks after releasing his new solo album, Roy Orbison died of a heart attack at the age of 52. Those haunting high notes now echo buried in the ashes of the millions of cigarettes he burned throughout his life. Clark Gable, the uncrowned king of Hollywood, was a masculine icon with a crooked smile and piercing eyes that made the world swoon. But beneath that charming exterior was a deadly habit, smoking 3 packs of cigarettes a day. From the set of Gone with the Wind to lavish parties in Beverly Hills, a cigarette was always between Gable's fingers like an indispensable prop. The characteristic deep voice that fans loved was largely due to, and also due to, nicotine. After decades of heavy drinking and smoking, Gable's body began to pay the price. While filming The Misfits in 1960, he struggled to perform horseback riding and desert rolling scenes without a stunt double, despite his failing health. Just days after filming Wrapped, he suffered a massive heart attack and died at the age of 59. The man who had brought the film world to its knees with his powerful demeanor was finally defeated not by any role, but by the cigarette smoke that had followed him throughout his career. George Harrison, the quiet man of the Beatles, was known not only for his soulful music and introspective spirit, but also for an unlikely habit chain smoking. From a very young age, Harrison became addicted to nicotine smoking more than 2 packs a day for decades. Despite his meditation vegetarianism and living close to nature, he could not give up his Marlboros, which he joked were his faithful companions in the studio, on stage, and in interviews. But cigarette smoke was not an easy audience. In the 1990s, Harrison was diagnosed with throat, lung, and eventually brain cancer, all directly related to his long-term smoking. He fought the battle silently, true to his style, but his body could no longer hold on. George Harrison died in 2001 at the age of 58, leaving behind an immortal legacy of music and a sad reminder of the price of a seemingly small habit. Lauren Bacall, a beauty icon of Hollywood's golden age, was known not only for her piercing eyes and cold demeanor, but also for her deep, seductive voice. But that distinctive timbre was not entirely natural. Bacall had started smoking cigarettes since her teens, partly because of pressure from directors at the time and partly because she believed that cigarettes made her voice fuller and more seductive. On screen, the cigarette in her mouth was not just an accessory, but a statement: strong, unapologetic, uncompromising. But youth is not immune to the consequences. Bacall continued smoking for decades despite warnings. Though she lived to 89, her final years were marred by heart disease and respiratory failure, a direct result of her long-term smoking. Lauren Bacall died of a stroke in 2014, but the sad, smoky quality of her voice still resonates through time, both as a cinematic legacy and a silent reminder. Leonard Nimoy, the man who made the world fall in love with Spock's pointy ears, brought calm intelligence and a deep, seductive voice. But behind that calm exterior was a less logical habit. He smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day for decades. Nimoy started smoking as a young man, seeing it as part of growing up in the entertainment industry. On set-off-set, cigarette smoke hovered around him like a silent co-star. Though he quit in the 1980s, the damage had been done. Spock's lungs were not immune to the realities of humanity. In 2013, Nimoy was diagnosed with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, a progressive and incurable disease. Despite having stopped smoking nearly 30 years ago, he became an outspoken anti-smoking advocate, often sharing on social media the consequences of his youthful choices. Nimoy called his illness a late punishment and did not shy away from talking about it. Although he continued to work, attend events, and record voiceovers, his health gradually declined. Leonard Nimoy died in 2015 at the age of 83 from complications from COPD. His death was met with grief by his fan base, but it also provided a powerful lesson: smoking doesn't need time to destroy you. It just needs an opportunity. Bette Davis, a screen icon with a piercing gaze and an uncompromising personality, was not only known for her daring roles, but also for the smoke that enveloped every frame. Throughout her decades-long career, Davis was a heavy smoker, sometimes up to 3 packs a day. Smoking was more than just a habit. It was part of her lifestyle, a psychological prop she brought to each character. Davis's distinctive husky voice and cold demeanor were enhanced by the smoke, creating the image of a strong and mysterious woman in Hollywood's golden age. But behind the spotlight, every puff of smoke meant extending her own lifespan. Bette Davis was diagnosed with breast cancer in 1983 and suffered a stroke that severely affected her health. Although she fought hard both physically and mentally, the damage from decades of smoking was irreversible. She continued to work, even writing books and making public appearances, until her health failed. Bette Davis died in 1989 at the age of 81 from metastatic cancer, ending a legend but leaving an indelible legacy. Her story is living proof that style can be built on smoke, but health cannot. The captivating lead vocalist of the legendary band Queen, Freddie Mercury, was not only a musical phenomenon, but also an icon of boldness and individuality. Born in Zanzibar, his journey to stardom was as brilliant and extraordinary as his commanding stage presence. With a rare 4-octave vocal range and flamboyant performance style, Mercury enchanted millions of fans worldwide. Though his private life was often the subject of speculation, he never publicly disclosed his sexuality. However, close friends were well aware and always supportive. One of his most notable relationships was with Mary Austin, whom he regarded as his lifelong companion despite their romantic relationship ending. Later, he found comfort and love with Jim Hutton, who stayed by his side until the end. In 1987, Mercury was diagnosed with HIV, but instead of backing down, he continued to create music with relentless passion. His final years marked a peak of creativity with legendary albums like Innuendo. The music video for These Are the Days of Our Lives was his last public appearance, showing a frail yet vibrant Mercury. On November 23, 1991, Mercury publicly confirmed his AIDS diagnosis just one day before passing away from pneumonia complications. His death deeply saddened the entire music world and fans worldwide. Mercury's legacy goes far beyond music. The Mercury Phoenix Trust was established in 1992 to fight AIDS globally, and his spirit lives on in the hearts of millions. A young, talented Hollywood star who amazed the world with his acting skills and striking appearance, Dominguez was born on May 10, 1966, in Santa Clara County, California. He carries a unique blend of Mexican and French heritage, which helped him stand out on the big screen. However, his path to fame was far from smooth. Before entering the film industry, Dominguez worked as a go-go dancer in nightclubs, where he indulged his deep passion for dance and performance art. Though his moves weren't flashy, they provided valuable experience that prepared him for his major breakthrough. In 1995, Dominguez landed the role of Emilio Ramirez in the film Dangerous Minds, playing a rebellious student transformed by Michelle F's character. His authentic and emotional performance captured the attention of audiences and critics alike, opening doors for him to shine in Hollywood. Following this success, he appeared in films such as City of Industry, The Taxman, and Shadow of Doubt, with each role showcasing his versatility and depth as an actor, promising a bright future ahead. However, his life was also marked by challenges. Wade Dominguez quietly battled a heavy secret: he was diagnosed with AIDS, but chose to keep it private, refusing to be defined by the illness and wanting to be remembered for his talent instead. On August 26, 1998, Dominguez passed away at the age of 32 due to respiratory failure caused by AIDS complications. His death came as a shock to many who were unaware of the silent battle he had endured. One of the most touching moments during his final days was when his friend and colleague Elizabeth Berkley visited, bringing a rough cut of his last film, The Taxman. Watching his performance, Dominguez broke down in tears and exclaimed, "I'm really good, I'm really good." It was a bittersweet moment, a testament to his extraordinary talent and the tragedy of a life cut far too short. His legacy serves as a reminder of the power of art and the courage it takes to face adversity. A fashion icon not only as a designer but also as a pioneer who transformed the perception of streetwear, Smith was born in 1948 in Philadelphia. He brought a creative vision that made fashion an essential part of everyday life, not just reserved for the elite. His journey began at Parsons School of Design, but he was expelled after being outed for a same-sex relationship. Undeterred, Smith worked various jobs in the industry before founding the Willi Wear brand in 1976, grounded in the philosophy that fashion should be for everyone, not just distant queens. He revolutionized fashion with striking, affordable designs that blended sporty styles with the elegance of high fashion. In 1981, Smith met Alan Barker, his life partner and key business collaborator, who helped the brand grow its sales to $25 million annually by the mid-1980s. Smith also expanded his influence into the arts, collaborating with artists, filmmakers, and dancers, blurring the lines between fashion and art. He even designed the wedding dress for Mary Jane Watson, a character in the Spider-Man comics. However, his brilliant career was cut short when Barker passed away from AIDS complications in 1986, and just months later, Smith's health sharply declined. He died on April 17, 1987, at the age of 39. Although the exact cause was never officially disclosed, many believe AIDS played a significant role. A familiar face to audiences worldwide, even if his name isn't widely known, Elliott was born in 1922 in London and appeared in over 125 films and television shows, leaving a lasting mark on British cinema history. He was renowned for his ability to portray lovable, sometimes confused, yet always charming characters. Elliott's path to the arts wasn't easy. He served in the Royal Air Force during World War II and spent 3 years as a prisoner of war. Through these trials, he discovered his passion for theater and film, quickly becoming a reliable character actor. Some of Elliott's most memorable roles include Marcus Brody in the Indiana Jones series, Coleman in The Bounty, and Mr. Emerson in A Room with a View. He had a unique ability to elevate any scene with just a raised eyebrow or a perfectly timed growl, creating a distinctive style that few could match. In his personal life, Elliott was married twice and maintained a strong sense of privacy despite his successful career. He had 2 children but kept his bisexuality a secret throughout his life. In 1987, at the age of 65, Elliott was diagnosed with HIV. Nevertheless, he continued to work, appearing in numerous films and television shows in the late 1980s and early 1990s, including Noble House and Toy Soldiers. His final role was in the 1992 film Noises Off. On October 6, 1992, Elliott passed away at his home in Ibiza, Spain, from tuberculosis related to AIDS. He was 70 years old. His death sent shockwaves through the British acting community, prompting an outpouring of tributes from colleagues and fans alike. The British Academy of Film and Television Arts, BAFTA, honored his legacy by naming an award after him, the Denholm Elliott Award, given to the most promising actor. Elliott's legacy continues to inspire, standing as a symbol of perseverance and boundless talent. Beloved for his role as Mike Brady in the classic sitcom The Brady Bunch, he left a lasting impression as the quintessential TV dad. But behind that wholesome image was a life full of turbulence and secrets. Born in 1932 in Illinois as John Robert Wrights Jr., Reed's journey was anything but easy. Starting out on stage, he gradually proved his talent through various television roles before landing the part of Mike Brady, a role that would forever change his career. With warmth and intelligence, Reed embodied the ideal father figure in the eyes of millions of American viewers. However, Reed's personal life was far from peaceful. He married Marilyn Rosenberger in 1954, and they had a daughter named Karen, but the marriage lasted only 5 years. During that time, he confided in his wife about his sexual orientation, something he kept hidden from the public out of fear it would jeopardize his career. In the 1960s, Hollywood was far from accepting of the LGBTQ+ community, and Reed wasn't willing to risk his standing on set. Known for his dedication to his craft, he often clashed with writers to ensure the scripts met the highest standards. Despite his private struggles, Reed was beloved by his co-stars, especially child actors, for his kindness and support. He frequently organized trips to museums and cultural events to help broaden their horizons and enrich their experiences beyond the screen. In 1991, Reed's life took a tragic turn when he was diagnosed with colon cancer and revealed to have contracted HIV. Though he kept these truths private, he passed away on May 12, 1992, at the age of 59. The official cause of death was cancer, but many believe complications from HIV also played a role. His passing was a significant loss for fans and sparked a broader conversation about the pressures and discrimination faced by LGBTQ+ individuals in the entertainment industry. Though much of his personal story remained untold during his lifetime, the image of Mike Brady endures as a symbol of love and warmth, a reminder that behind Hollywood's spotlight are powerful stories of quiet courage and resilience. Mayor of New York City from 1978 to 1989, Ed Koch was a complex figure in the city's history. His famous catchphrase, "How am I doing?" captured the resilient and confident spirit of 1980s New York, along with his sharp wit and fierce loyalty. Born in 1924 in the Bronx, Koch's journey to becoming mayor was marked by challenge and determination. He served in World War II, became a lawyer, and eventually entered politics as a congressman. He won the mayoral election in 1977 at a time when New York was grappling with a severe financial crisis, rising crime rates, and urban decline. Koch is credited with helping the city recover economically, spearheading urban revitalization and laying the groundwork for a stronger, more vibrant New York. However, Koch's legacy is not without controversy, especially in the context of the AIDS epidemic during the 1980s when the disease began devastating New York's gay community. He was criticized for his slow response and lack of timely support. Prominent activist Larry Kramer famously called him a monster for not doing enough to protect the LGBTQ+ community. Although Koch never publicly disclosed his sexual orientation, he consistently maintained that his private life was not a matter for public discussion. After Koch's death in 2013, journalist Charles Kaiser confirmed that Koch was indeed gay, partly due to the social stigma of his generation, which made openness about sexuality and identity difficult. Koch was not only a politician, but also a pioneer in anti-discrimination law. As a congressman, he introduced the first version of legislation banning employment discrimination. As mayor, he prohibited discrimination against gay individuals in both employment and housing. Although his relationship with the LGBTQ+ community was complicated after leaving City Hall, Koch remained an influential figure within the community. He wrote books, hosted radio shows, and served as a civil court judge. His legacy is a blend of achievements and controversies remembered in New York's history and ongoing conversations about community politics and social diversity. A controversial figure whose name still evokes strong emotions decades after his death, Roy Cohn was born in 1927 in New York to a wealthy Jewish family. He entered politics early and rose to prominence in the 1950s as an aide to Senator Joseph McCarthy during the Red Scare communist witch hunts. Cohn also played a role in the trial of Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, which resulted in their execution. However, his influence extended beyond anti-communism. He was a key figure in the Lavender Scare, the government's crackdown on gay employees. Cohn persuaded President Eisenhower to ban homosexuals from federal service, citing the risk of blackmail. Despite widespread rumors about his sexual orientation, including a relationship with aide David Schine, Cohn consistently denied these claims and kept his private life closely guarded throughout his life. After leaving politics, he became a high-profile lawyer representing powerful clients such as Donald Trump, Rupert Murdoch, and various mafia figures. In 1984, he was diagnosed with HIV, but tried to keep it a secret, publicly claiming to have liver cancer and never admitting to either his HIV status or his sexual orientation. Cohn died in August 1986 at the age of 59, leaving behind a complicated legacy both as a powerful figure and as a symbol of the conflicts within American politics around power loyalty and the struggles between acceptance and discrimination. He may not be a familiar name to many today, but in the world of figure skating, Ondrej Nepela is a legend. Born in 1951 in Bratislava, Slovakia, Ondrej Nepela's journey in the sport began early. Starting to skate at the age of 7, his mother took him to the rink hoping to cure his asthma, unaware that this would be the turning point that led him to become one of the world's finest figure skaters. Nepela's talent quickly emerged, and by age 13, he was representing Czechoslovakia at the 1964 Winter Olympics in Innsbruck, Austria. Although he didn't win a medal in his first Olympics, Nepela quickly gained recognition for his talent in the following years. His elegant skating style and precise movements earned him the nickname the Ice Prince. The peak of his career came with a gold medal in men's figure skating at the 1972 Winter Olympics in Sapporo, Japan, along with 3 World Championship titles and 5 European Championship wins. Off the ice, Nelly was known for his privacy, rarely giving interviews, and carefully guarding his personal life. Despite rumors of relationships with other male skaters, he never publicly disclosed his sexual orientation, especially given the social climate in Eastern Europe at the time. After retiring in 1973, Nelly became a coach, toured with Holiday on Ice, and eventually settled in Germany. There, he shared his experience and expertise with young skaters, becoming a significant mentor within the figure skating community. However, in 1989, at the age of 38, Nelly was diagnosed with lymphoma, a condition possibly related to AIDS. He passed away on February 2, 1989, in Mannheim, Germany, leaving behind a tremendous legacy and untold secrets within the world of figure skating. Born Robert Creel Davis in 1949 in Tallahassee, Florida, he grew up in a challenging household with a father who suffered from mental illness. From an early age, Davis discovered a passion for acting and studied at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York. He became well known in Hollywood for his powerful performances, especially his role as Billy Hayes in Midnight Express 1978, which earned him a Golden Globe and firmly established him as a respected artist. Davis continued to take on complex roles that demanded refined acting skills and courage, leaving a strong mark on the film industry. However, his personal life was troubled as he faced numerous health challenges and private struggles. Patience and resilience helped him overcome challenges throughout his career. Brad Davis passed away in 1991 at the age of 41, serving as a reminder of the struggles many Hollywood artists face both on and off the screen. He is remembered as a talented actor who always gave his all and never stopped pushing through adversity, a true inspiration for hard work and passion in the entertainment industry. If Brad Davis's story inspires you, please like and share this video to spread the message of perseverance and love for the arts. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss more meaningful stories. Thank you for joining us. Born in 1938 aboard the Trans-Siberian train near UTS Siberia, Rudolf Nureyev's journey to becoming one of the most famous ballet dancers of the 20th century was far from easy. Growing up in the poverty and hardship of the Soviet Union, his passion for dance was evident from a young age. Nureyev joined a folk dance troupe at just 11 years old and later trained at the Vaganova Ballet Academy in Leningrad, now St. Petersburg. His talent quickly shone through, but it was his dramatic defection to the West in 1961 while touring with the Kirov Ballet in Paris that catapulted him to international fame. During the Cold War, Nureyev's decision to seek asylum held deep political significance, reflecting the tensions between the Soviet Union and the West. During his career, Nureyev partnered with leading ballerina Dame Margot Fonteyn, creating iconic performances such as Romeo and Juliet and Swan Lake. The duo became ballet legends, yet Nureyev was always eager to revolutionize the art form by challenging traditional gender roles, expanding opportunities for male dancers, and bringing a unique intensity and athleticism to the stage. His powerful style and confidence attracted younger audiences and inspired a new generation of dancers. Offstage, Nureyev was known for his lavish lifestyle passion for antiques and homes in multiple countries. His private life was the subject of much speculation, and in his later years he openly discussed relationships with male dancers, an especially sensitive topic at the time. In 1983, Nureyev became the director of the Paris Opera Ballet, where he continued to innovate, push artistic boundaries, and nurture young talent. Despite declining health in the late 1980s, he remained active as a choreographer, artistic director, and occasionally performed when able. Rudolf Nureyev passed away on January 6, 1993, at the age of 54, due to complications related to AIDS. His death was a tremendous loss to the world of dance, but his legacy and influence live on in ballet and popular culture. Nureyev was not only an extraordinarily gifted dancer, but also a revolutionary figure who broke artistic boundaries and inspired generations of dancers around the globe. Born Roy Harold Scherer Jr. in 1925, Rock Hudson was one of the brightest stars of Hollywood's golden age. Standing at 6'5" with striking good looks and a commanding presence, Hudson seemed destined for the silver screen. His journey from a small-town boy in Winnetka, Illinois, to a major Hollywood icon is a classic and inspiring tale. Hudson's career skyrocketed in the 1950s with standout films like Magnificent Obsession and All That Heaven Allows. His versatility, shining in both romantic comedies and powerful dramas, earned him critical acclaim. His role in Giant alongside Elizabeth Taylor and James Dean earned him a prestigious Academy Award nomination. However, in an era when being openly gay could destroy a career, Hudson was forced to keep his sexual orientation hidden. He married his agent's secretary, Phyllis Gates, but the marriage lasted only 3 years. It was later revealed that the union had been orchestrated by his agent, Henry Wilson, in an attempt to quash rumors about Hudson's sexuality. While Hudson maintained the image of a heterosexual man in the public eye, his private life was something of an open secret within Hollywood. He was well known for his lavish pool parties at his Beverly Hills estate events that would become legendary within the gay community. Hudson's career remained strong through the 1960s and 1970s. He transitioned successfully to television with the hit series McMillan and Wife, and later appeared in the popular soap opera Dynasty, attracting a new generation of fans. However, Hudson's life changed dramatically in 1984 when he was diagnosed with AIDS. At first, he kept the diagnosis private, but his visibly frail appearance during a Dynasty press event in July 1985 raised concern and speculation. On July 25, 1985, a spokesperson officially confirmed that Hudson had AIDS. The announcement sent shockwaves through Hollywood and the nation as he became the first major celebrity to publicly disclose an AIDS diagnosis. His openness in the final months of his life helped reduce stigma surrounding the disease and sparked important public conversations about HIV/AIDS and LGBTQ+ rights. His longtime friend and Pillow Talk co-star Doris Day invited him to appear on her television show, marking his final public appearance. Rock Hudson passed away on October 2, 1985 at the age of 59. Born Wladziu Valentino Liberace, but known to fans simply as Liberace, he was a symbol of glamour and showmanship in the entertainment industry. Born in 1919 in West Allis, Wisconsin, to a family of Italian and Polish immigrants, his journey to becoming the king of showmanship was marked by glittering sequined outfits, rhinestone-studded costumes, and a persistent denial of his sexual orientation. From an early age, Liberace demonstrated remarkable talent on the piano, performing classical pieces that earned the admiration of much older musicians. However, his true fame came from his dramatic performance style and uniquely flamboyant stage persona. Liberace's career skyrocketed in the 1950s with his television program The Liberace Show, where he captivated audiences with extravagant costumes, a candelabra-top piano, and an undeniably magnetic presence. Liberace famously stated, "I don't give concerts. I put on a show perfectly capturing his flamboyant and theatrical stage style." Throughout his life, Liberace firmly denied being gay. When tabloid newspapers began to hint at his sexuality, he sued the British Daily Mirror in 1956 for libel, testifying under oath that he was not homosexual and had never engaged in homosexual acts. However, his private life told a different story. He lived for 5 years with Scott Thorson, his lover and chauffeur. The relationship ended dramatically when Thorson sued Liberace in 1982, seeking $113 million in palimony. The lawsuit was later settled out of court for $95,000. When the AIDS epidemic emerged in the 1980s, Liberace's health began to decline. Despite losing weight and becoming frail, he continued to deny any connection to the disease, insisting that he was simply on a watermelon diet. His final performance took place on November 2, 1986, at Radio City Music Hall in New York. Just a few months later, on February 4, 1987, he passed away at his home in Palm Springs, California. Initially, doctors believed he died of heart failure caused by a heart attack, but later the Riverside County Sheriff confirmed that the cause of death was pneumonia related to AIDS. He is a well-known reality TV star, famous not only for his talent, but also for his mission to educate the public about HIV/AIDS. Born in 1972 in Cuba, Zamora and his family moved to Miami, Florida, when he was just 8 years old. From a young age, he was open about his sexual orientation and hoped to be accepted by his family and community. A major turning point came when Zamora was 17 years old and found out he was HIV positive. Instead of letting the disease defeat him, he used it as motivation to educate the community about prevention, fighting stigma, and protecting health. In 1994, Zamora became one of the first people to publicly disclose his HIV status on television when he appeared on MTV's The Real World San Francisco. This helped break down stereotypes about HIV/AIDS and the LGBTQ+ community, bringing the disease into everyday conversation. However, Zamora's health rapidly declined due to a severe infection called cryptosporidiosis, which affects people with weakened immune systems. Just hours after the final episode aired, he passed away at the age of 22 on November 11, 1994. Pedro Zamora left a lasting impact on raising awareness about HIV/AIDS and inspiring the community. President Bill Clinton once praised him for helping the public better understand and relate to the disease, while also breaking down stigma against the LGBTQ+ community in the United States. He was one of the greatest lyricists in Disney history, playing a key role in the company's animation renaissance during the late 1980s and early 1990s. Born in 1950 in Baltimore, Howard Ashman had a passion for musical theater from a young age, often writing and directing shows in his basement, before eventually joining Disney. He first made his mark on Broadway with the hit musical Little Shop of Horrors in collaboration with composer Alan Menken. Their partnership was a huge success and led to their work with Disney starting in 1986. At Disney, Ashman wrote iconic songs like Under the Sea and Part of Your World for The Little Mermaid. These works not only helped re-establish Disney's success, but also marked the beginning of the animation Renaissance era. He was awarded a prestigious Oscar while working on Beauty and the Beast. Despite his declining health due to an AIDS diagnosis, he continued to write songs with unwavering dedication. Ashman's lyrics often carried deep metaphors reflecting the fear, discrimination, and injustice faced by people living with AIDS. His final project was Aladdin, where he wrote iconic songs like Arabian Nights and Friend Like Me. Although he did not live to see the film completed, Ashman left an indelible mark on audiences. Howard Ashman was not only a gifted songwriter, but also someone who breathed life into every Disney melody, from the vibrant mermaid to the deeply emotional beast. He brought Broadway to Disney, transforming each song into a powerful storytelling tool, not just a piece of entertainment. He was the mastermind behind the legendary Studio 54, the iconic New York nightclub that defined the disco era of the late 1970s. Born in 1943 in Brooklyn, his path to the vibrant nightlife scene wasn't easy. After serving in the National Guard and graduating from Syracuse University, Rubel worked in restaurants before discovering his passion for the nightlife. Together with his friend Ian Schrager, he transformed an old CBS studio into Studio 54, a unique hotspot where celebrities and regular people mingled freely. You could see Andy Warhol alongside Liza Minnelli or Mick Jagger dancing with a plumber from Queens. The Studio 54 dream didn't last long. In late 1978, the IRS raided the club, leading to Rubel and Schrager being convicted of tax evasion and sentenced to 3 years in prison. After his release, Rubel entered the hotel business and found success with the Morgan Hotel in New York, helping to start the boutique hotel trend. In 1985, Rubel was diagnosed with HIV, and although he kept it private, the disease quickly progressed to AIDS. On July 25, 1989, he passed away from hepatitis and septic shock at the age of 45. Steve Rubel remains an icon of New York nightlife and a pioneer who created a space that connected artists, celebrities, and everyday people into a boundary-free community. He is best known for his role as Norman Bates in Alfred Hitchcock's classic film, Psycho. He lived a life full of inner struggles and complexity, much like the characters he portrayed. Born in 1932 in New York, he was the son of actor Osgood Perkins, which helped shape his artistic path from an early age. His career took off brilliantly with an Oscar nomination for his second film, Friendly Persuasion. He gained recognition as a sensitive young actor, often playing men with psychological or emotional issues. His fame was further solidified by the song Moonlight Swim, which reached the top 30 on the Billboard charts. His career was truly defined in 1957 with his role as Norman Bates in Psycho, playing a mentally disturbed motel owner. This role made him a major star, but also typecast him in complex psychological roles for many years afterward. Perkins struggled with his sexual orientation in an era of intense pressure and prejudice in Hollywood. In the 1950s, he had a public relationship with actor Tab Hunter, though their romantic photos and mementos were kept private in the studio. Perkins faced immense pressure to hide his feelings and even underwent therapy in an attempt to suppress his homosexuality. He never fully reconciled with himself. In 1973, Perkins married photographer Barry Berenson. They had 2 sons, and their relationship was described as happy. However, close friends believed that Perkins never fully accepted his sexual orientation. In the late 1980s, he was diagnosed with HIV. News of his health came not from his doctor, but from the tabloid National Enquirer. He kept his illness private and continued working, refusing to let it affect his career. On September 12, 1992, Perkins passed away from AIDS-related pneumonia at the age of 60. A tragic event followed when his wife Barry Berenson died in the September 11, 2001 attacks at the World Trade Center. Perkins lived a life full of contradictions and inner struggles, but he remains an unforgettable Hollywood icon, a star and a complex man who conveyed deep and moving stories. He is a talented stand-up comedian known for his ability to make audiences laugh without saying a word. Born in 1947 in Des Moines, Iowa, he quickly discovered his passion for comedy and gained fame with his silent solo performances in the Airplane film series, where his wild energy and quirky style left a lasting impression. Stucker's journey wasn't easy. He began performing at small venues in San Francisco and appeared in numerous plays before his breakthrough at the Kentucky Fried Theater. It was there that he was discovered by the Zucker brothers and Jim Abrahams, who later created the Airplane movies. Stucker's life faced a major challenge when he was diagnosed with HIV at a time when AIDS was still poorly understood. He bravely came out publicly about his condition, becoming one of the first actors to discuss HIV openly in the media, helping to reduce stigma. In an interview, he spoke candidly about his past and believed that drug use may have contributed to his illness. Despite his fight, Stucker's battle with AIDS was brief, and he passed away in 1986 at the age of 38. Stephen Stucker was not only a comedian, but also a pioneer in raising awareness and compassion for the HIV/AIDS community during a time of widespread prejudice and fear. Paul Shenar was known not only for his versatile acting talent, but also for his strong work ethic and dedication to his craft. He had the ability to deeply embody a wide range of roles, from complex, introspective characters to sharp villains, creating a powerful presence on screen. Chenard's professionalism and passion earned him the respect of both colleagues and audiences alike. Beyond his acting career, he was also a positive contributor to the arts community as a founding member of the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco, an environment that nurtures young talent and promotes high-quality theatrical arts. His transition from stage to screen was natural, aided by his warm, deep voice and expressive eyes, which made him equally suited for both heroic and villainous roles, bringing complexity and a unique charisma to each character. Although his career was widely recognized, Chenard kept his personal life relatively private. There were rumors of a 5-year relationship between him and Jeremy Brett, the star of Sherlock Holmes. If true, this relationship was kept secret, like many gay actors of the time, to avoid discrimination in the entertainment industry. Paul Chenard passed away in 1989 at the age of 53 due to AIDS complications. His death was a significant loss to film and theater, and a somber reminder of the challenges many gay actors faced during that era. He was a familiar face on daytime television, captivating audiences for more than 2 decades with his striking looks and versatile talent. Born in 1941 in Cincinnati, Ohio, he began his career early, appearing on Broadway at just 14 years old. His career continued to grow as he starred in TV series such as The Edge of Night, Dark Shadows and Somerset. Crothers stood out for his ability to portray both heroes and villains, a challenging feat that he accomplished thanks to his appearance and diverse acting skills. Although he was openly gay with close friends and colleagues, he never spoke about it publicly. There were rumors that he was once engaged to Val Gray, an actress who played his love interest in Somerset. This relationship sparked speculation about whether it was a genuine marriage plan or just a cover in an era when fear of being openly gay was widespread. Joel Crothers passed away in 1985 at the age of 44 from AIDS-related lymphoma, marking a significant chapter in daytime television history. His legacy is not only his memorable performances, but also his quiet pioneering in living authentically during a time of intense prejudice. He was not only an artist, but also a cultural icon with a timeless influence. Born in 1958 in Reading, Pennsylvania, he found his artistic identity in the vibrant New York scene of the 1980s. His unique style, featuring bold lines, bright colors, and dancing figures, became a symbol of the pop art movement. Herring began his career by drawing with white chalk on subway stations and blank billboards, attracting the attention of both artists and the public. He used his influence to address social issues, showing particular concern for the gay community and raising awareness about AIDS, often depicting same-sex couples in his work and promoting messages against discrimination. In 1987, Herring was diagnosed HIV positive. Instead of giving in, he threw himself into his art with great passion and founded the Keith Haring Foundation to support AIDS organizations and children's programs. His battle with AIDS was brief. He passed away in 1990 at the age of 31. Herring's legacy lives on through his art and activism, inspiring those who fight for equality and community rights. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Leave a comment to share your thoughts about these remarkable figures. Remember, we can all contribute to the fight against HIV/AIDS with love, support, and hope. Let's spread kindness and strength just as Keith Haring inspired us. Thank you for watching and see you in the next videos.